Hi, this is Demont, and you are watching how to override custom lookup or standard lookup button with custom VF page. So if you click on the lookup button, it will open one pop-up of VF page. From here you can select the record to lookup. So here is one example. We have created this page where you can see there are two lookup fields, and these lookup fields are overridden with accounts. Here these are the two lookup fields. If you click on this lookup, it will open this account lookup pop-up, and if you click on this lookup, it is overridden with visualforce page, and you can see it has opened one pop-up which is overridden with this visualforce page. And from this you can pass the parameters into the URL as well. The main design strategy of this VF page or this application is that you can easily call different pages from these two lookups as well, where it is situated into the same page. So passing the parameters, you can define what type of account you are going to search. Here I have searched business account, and upper lookup searching the person account. So by this application you can also access those two lookup fields value and use them in different purposes. Now here is another example that if you click on this lookup, it will open one page which is lookup page 1, and you can see this is lookup page 1. And if you click on this lookup link, you can see it is opening another lookup page. So in a single page, two lookup fields will open two different lookup pages, and you can perform different operations by opening those two lookup pages into the pop-up. Okay, so this application's design strategy I'm going to explain now. So I have created a single page, this with tables, tbody and tr, and this is the controller section where I have created one constructor as well. And if you see, this is the object where two lookup fields are created, and this is lookup to account both, and this is the object name. So now I'm going to create one object of this data change request __ c as DCR, and this is the get set method of that object. So I'm going to create input field into the page. So I am going to that's why I am creating this object, and this is the memory allocation. So any value you are getting into the VF page will store into this object. So now I create one TD, which is the column of this table, as lookup 1. So this lookup fields I am going to place here for account. So it should be person account. Okay, and this is the label, and now the input field, apex input field, and here value as that DCR object dot that field name. So it will be used as this field. So now I have this field. Okay, there should be end of TD. Okay, so I have placed this lookup field into the page, which will be overridden with one visualforce page, and the same will be done for another lookup field into the DCR object, and that should be to account, this change to account, which will be business account. Okay, so this two lookup fields has been placed into the page, and if you see, if you click on this lookup icon, it will open the standard lookup pop-up field. Okay, this is standard provided by Salesforce. Now I am going to overwrite this button with visualforce page. Now if you inspect this one, you can see there is one link href, and it's redirecting to one JavaScript method. Now if we decode that link, which is in URL format, using this simple Java query, which will decode your URL to proper format. So we can see this is decoded with one JavaScript method as open lookup, which accessing these 4 parameters. Okay, this is one parameter, this is one, and the last one. So this JavaScript method is accessing 4 parameters. Now we are going to override that JavaScript method with our custom script. Okay, so how we are going to override that? We write one script, and within this script we define one function with the same name as this. Okay, so whenever we click on that lookup button, it will open this JavaScript method. It will execute this JavaScript method, and as we see, there are 4 parameters passing as parameter of this function. So first parameter is this, so it's 0 0 1 at the end. Now if we see, for the first parameter, the end is like get element by id this, so it's 0 0 1. Now 0 0 1 is the object code, object key for account. So this is the first parameter value is being passed. So we note down this one, and at the end it should be 0 0 1. So if you see, this 0 0 1 is the object code for account, as this lookup is related to account. So if you are accessing any lookup for different object, this 0 0 1 should be different. So we call this as base URL. Okay, now same as second parameter is the 670, which is the width of the lookup. Okay, now third parameter is the modified, and fourth parameter is the different. Let's see what is the fourth parameter. Fourth parameter would be like, if we save this page and try to see what is the fourth parameter, we can see LKSRCH. So it's something like search. So if we place any string into the lookup and try to see, it's the search string. So it's accessing the search string. So it name as search string. So if you are trying to fetch any lookup field value, then it should be the search string. So we store the received variable into different JavaScript variables, and this lookup code, lookup type, which is different for different objects, 0 0 1, we have to fetch that. We cannot just hard code that. We have to use that for a specific purpose. For example, you have different lookup fields into this page, and you want to override those fields with specific web pages. That's why you need to store the lookup code. Now if you try to decode that or card that string with length -3 and 3, then we can access that 0 0 1. Okay, we need to access that value, so we just have to use -3. So we have the length, complete URL, and we subtract last 3. Okay, okay, that should be ng. So we can see we have the 001 now. So this is the lookup code which is being received. So if you try this for different lookup fields of different custom object or any other standard object, you can see this lookup code value is different. Okay, now we store this into a specific variable lookup type. Okay, now if this modified is equal to 1, then we have to include the search string with this base URL received. Okay, so we received this base URL from the parameter and we have to use that all the cases. So base URL is equal to base URL plus search string. Okay, this search string is holding lksrch is equal to hello or whatever text value you put into the lookup field. So this is the base URL. Now it is modified, and now we are going to check if this lookup type is equal to lookup type is for account only or not. So we compare with 001. Okay, if this is for account, then it will enter into this if condition. So we just have to access these parameters. So you can see this base URL containing some unknown value which we don't know yet. Now we are going to define the ID for this lookup field. Okay, so ID defined as ID for account. Okay, so it should be person account, and this is the ID for ID to account. Okay, so we have now ID for and ID to two different lookup. Now if you do the inspect and use the same URL, we can see a bit modification into the URL. We run the program again and execute. Now we can see the base URL containing the ID for that lookup. You can see. So if we modify this, if we replace this with value, we can see this containing ID for account which has been defined for this lookup. Now if we do the same for another lookup, we can see that URL, that base URL containing the ID for lookup 2 also. Okay, so we just have to, we can see the base URL is separated by AND also. So if we want to identify the lookup button clicked for lookup 1 or lookup 2, and then we can easily override the button link. So we have to separate this one. So the base URL has to be splitted by AND. So we are creating one array and base URL split by AND. So base URL, now this URL ARR URL array containing three elements. So if we see for second element, so URL 0, we can see this element containing two different ID. So lookup ID 1 and lookup ID 2. Okay, so this lookup ID value is again separated by is equal to. So if we want to get the string after the is equal to, we have to again split by is equal to. So we do split by is equal to. Okay, because we need to hold that id into a specific variable. So you can see this is equal to, so there are two element into this array, so you use the second element 1. Okay, now if you do a alert of this text and try to check index of for this id, that means index of means it contains or not, and which location it contains on the length. So if we can see it contains 25, and if we do it for another lookup, we see it's returning -1. So we have to use this checking here. If this greater than -1, that means it will return 25. We have to write some if condition. Okay, so you can see if this is greater than -1, then it for lookup 1 and lookup 2. If we click lookup 1, it will alert one lookup to 1, and for second one it will alert the lookup to 2. Okay, so it has to be in string quoted. So if we click 1, we can easily find out it's redirecting me to the different if condition. Okay, now we are going to modify the base URL accordingly. So base URL is equal to /apex our page, which page we want to make the pop-up. So we copy this. Okay, lookup page 1, and same is for lookup page 2. Now we need to append another parameter as form. So we need to fetch the form ID, because it's necessary that if you want to work on the lookup button override, you always have to pass the form ID into the URL, and ID has to be UTF-8 encoded URL format. So to access the form ID or ID of any component, we have to use component dot that ID. Okay, here you can see the ID of the form is my form, so it will include you into the base URL and form frm is equal to that ID. Now if we do the alert on the base URL for lookup 1, we can see this is the page and form is equal to this is the form ID, which is UTF-8 encoded. Okay, my form. So j_jd_ that. Now we have to do it for same also in lookup 2. Okay, so this is how we can easily identify which lookup will be redirected to. Then we have to modify the base URL with search string. So lk search is equal to this search string. Okay, so that the base URL will contain the search string value as well. So we do it for second one also. Now if we do a alert on the base URL for both lookup, and we save it, and if we click, we see the base URL is modified like this with search string and form ID. So form ID is equal to my form and search string is equal to currently null. If you put any value and try to click, the search string will be populated with that value from the lookup. Okay, and you can use it for different purpose also, and you can see it is modified for second page also. So for both the cases the base URL is different, page 2 and page 3. Now you need to use the question mark at the end. Now for this is the main function which will open the lookup based on the base URL. So you need to pass some parameters, pass some arguments accordingly. This is Salesforce standard method written. So open popup bracket base URL comma lookup comma, this is the position, this is the location of the window where the base URL where the popup will open. Okay, so 350 480, and then the width and height. So width and height should be accordingly. So we are defining width as original width and height as, for example, 480. Okay, so it will open standard page, and later you need to define these different parameters as toolbar no, status no, directories no, menu bar no, resizable yes, scrollable no, and at the end true. So this is the standard format provided by Salesforce to override the lookup. So if you click, you can see this is the lookup page opened and this is the second lookup page opened. So the lookup buttons are now overridden with two custom VF page. Now these are the different parameters. If we modify the height, okay, you need to place the comma. Every parameter should be comma separated. So if you modify the height, you can see the height has been modified of this page. Okay, so I keep it as 480. So this is how you can easily override the VF page, override the lookup button with custom VF page. Okay, so these are the different parameters again, and if you want to pass any parameters into the URL of the VF page, you can easily pass. So for example, I pass account type is equal to person account for lookup 1, and okay, it should be there. So if you see, we have passed the parameters into the URL successfully. Now in this VF page you can receive these parameters. So how to pass the parameters into the URL and receive, you can see our videos as well. Now we are going to override the lookup button with another different VF page which will show the records, and you can click on the record and you can receive. So this is another page which has been received, and these are the different columns of the page. Now you can see there is another controller which will access all the accounts, and this account will have record type as business account. Okay, business account record type. So this VF page we are going to place into that lookup button. Click. So on clicking on the lookup button, it will open this page, and in the list of accounts you can click any account and you can access that account into the lookup field. Okay, so now we have written this account query. You can see all the accounts fields accordingly has been received into this list of account. Now we are going to use that list of account into the VF page. So for that we use the apex repeat. This is the very best practice to iterate any list or to iterate any map or anything into the VF page. You can customize anything when you are using apex repeat. So we use apex repeat value as the account list and var as ACC. Okay, now we create one TD here std id is equal to the css we have written here, css style. So id should be this. Now within this column we write the apex output link, which will be the account name. So acc.name, acc is the var of the repeat, you can see, and value as currently we are not defining any value, so we save it. We can see all the accounts has been returned. Now accordingly we are going to place we are going to create the columns or populate the columns value with other fields value as well. So in the next column it should be the type, so we use acc.type, and accordingly the remaining columns as well. Okay, so these are the different columns website. So all the columns value has been populated. So this is kind of lookup page. So you can define the search criterias field, so where from where you can search the account and return it. So this is the apex overridden. We are going to override replace the apex page from the, so you can see the search result has been returned accordingly, as we have replaced the link with specific with that URL or with this page. But on clicking on this on the link we cannot access it, so we need to modify the value accordingly. So to access these accounts into the lookup field, we have to define specific value into this output link, as value is equal to javascript to top dot window dot opener dot lookup pick 2, P should be capital. Always remember, when you are using JavaScript, everything is case sensitive. So in the lookup pick there is some specific format you have to follow. So as per the Salesforce API or Salesforce defined JavaScript library, we have to use these two values, form tag and text box. So form tag will be received from the VF page parameters we have passed previously, and text tag, here we need to define that text tag also. So this is the FRM which was passed into this base URL, you can see UTF encoded, and the text box now we are going to define that in with the base URL, and it should be txt. Okay, so these two values will be received from the URL. Here you need to use those tags. So form tag comma text box underscore lk id. Okay, so it should be text box here. So these are the different parameter syntax we have here that you need to define, and always it has to be quoted with single quote. Okay, and comma another parameter as text box. So previously it was underscore lkid, and now this is simple text box, and then another parameter would be the account name. Here it should be account ID. Okay, then it will pass the account name. So Salesforce out of the box, this JavaScript method, it will, if you pass these values into using this method as a link, it will redirect you, it will capture the clicked URL according to the record. So if you click on the record, it will fetch that record into this lookup box, as you have passed this text ID here and the form ID with the base URL. So this text ID will be this ID, okay, which has been received from the base URL. So this text ID is nothing but the lookup ID UTF-8 converted. Okay, you remember, right? So this text ID you are going to pass with the URL comma separated by AND. Okay, now if you save and click on the lookup box, it will open the URL, and here you can see this is the form value and this is the ID of the lookup has been received, and you can receive the clicked record as per that. So we are doing the same for another lookup field as well, and if you save, you can see in a single page there are two lookup fields, and lookup fields opening the same VF page, or you can use different VF page as well, and you can, if you click on the record, it is receiving the record successfully. So this is the code where we are going to store the variable base URL received and split it by and is equal to, then modifying the base URL accordingly and identifying which lookup button is clicked, and accordingly we are modifying the base URL and opening that lookup page, and from that lookup page we are receiving the clicked record. So this is the tag, form tag and text box. You can write in any way you can write. So it's receiving from the base URL and passing them into the URL. So everything you are going to play is with URL and modifying or overriding. So this is how we designed this page. You can find the code into the description. If you like this video, please like, share and ask your friends to visit our channel, YouTube channel, and please subscribe. Thank you very much.